Welcome to Women, Wealth, and Entrepreneurship with Ariel Shaw, MBA. We want to increase your bottom line and create generational wealth that lasts way beyond you. It's 2024, the year of reinvention and domination. Our 2024 media participants include Kenya Simmons of Kenya Simmons Real Estate and T&J Industries Development and Contracting, Monique Gibson of Our Rising Angels Personal Care Home, LLC, Demetria Winters of Black Butterfly Queens Life Coaching, Yvette of Best Services Unlimited, LLC, Mica Williams of Mica Williams State Farm Agency, and Alicia Williams of the Dazzling Diva Collection. Again, welcome to Women, Wealth, Entrepreneurship with your host, Ariel Shaw, MBA. This is Season 5.
Now I'm finally here at home, thank God for that. I was doing it on my own, late nights like that. Early in the morning, I'm trying to find my zone, but it on. I noticed I come see what I'm on. But hey, heads up, work harder, come, push through, unbothered. Stay prayed up, look straight up, I promise you'll go farther. So come take a look, come take a listen. This is a Southern Crescent women in business. So come take a look, come take a listen. This is a Southern Crescent women in business. Don't listen to the noise. We know what we could do. We wanna spread the joy. Find a friend and make it two. But hey, hands up, work harder, push through and stay unbothered. Stay prayed up, look straight up, I promise you'll go farther.
All right. Listen, this is Ariel Shaw, founder and president of Southern Crescent Women in Business. And this is Women, Wealth, and Entrepreneurship podcast. I am so excited to have our guest, Miss Demetria Winters. And Demetria, I want you to tell everybody who you are.
Well, I am not only an Army veteran, I am an entrepreneur and founder of Black Butterfly Queens Life Coaching, which is a life, health, and wellness business that's trauma recovery focused. I'm also a mom, nana, and mental health advocate.
All right. So that's a lot. And you, it's your birthday today.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. 57.
Oh my goodness. Listen, you don't look a day over 45. Welcome again to Women, Wealth, and Entrepreneurship podcast. I know you have recorded with us a couple times. I believe one under Women Live, which is new. And I feel like we have had you here before, maybe not in person, for Women, Wealth, and Entrepreneurship podcast, didn't we?
I believe so.
A couple years ago.
I want to say we didn't have video at the time. We just did the voice.
Yeah, I don't remember. But, definitely welcome back. What's new? Tell us what's new. What's going on with Miss Demetria Winters?
Okay, it's funny that you said that was a lot because that's like the tip of the iceberg. There's been just a shift in my life, including I will be officially hiring a W-2 employee for the first time this year.
Congratulations.
Yes. And I have formed some partnerships with some entities that can take certain things to the next level. Okay. Because with me, there are certain things that I come with that can enhance your mental health care as well as counseling. I'm kind of in the meantime, in between time, or the person who can help get you started to take that first step and be on your wellness journey. And I am collaborating with some nurse practitioners that can take it to medication level or, further.
Awesome. So, we kind of jumped in, but tell us a little bit of your background. And so you deal directly with trauma recovery, and just making sure people know how to function in their career, day to day, and not letting trauma get in the way. Do you want to share a little bit of your story?
Oh, most definitely, because I feel like when people feel as if they're speaking to someone who understands the journey from experience, it kind of hits different. So for my story, I survived a tumultuous household with domestic violence, and unfortunately, I am also someone who was a child who experienced molestation, not to mention several other things. It's surprising that I made it to where I made it, considering the things I went through.
Are you okay sharing that? Is a part of your journey sharing those things? Well, let's talk about it. Well, I mean, so podcasting is a little different from Women Live, where if people are only hearing sometimes, which again, we're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, everywhere. Sometimes they're only listening, so they can't visually see. So give it to us.
Okay. And I have been told by one of my children that I'm raw. However, I don't feel like I'm raw. I feel like I'm real. And I feel like that's much needed, because at one time, as in a lot of people's cases, you were told to shut up. You were told to not speak, and you were threatened. So I lost my voice. And now I'm like, I don't care, because it needs to be said. It needs to stop being hidden. All the trauma that people are going through, because hidden doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
Well, the word of God says that we overcome by our testimony. So in order for you to overcome, you have to speak it.
Exactly.
So let's talk about it.
Yeah, so those things are things that happened to me. Like I remember one situation where my stepfather at the time shot at us, and he said to us, "I wasn't shooting at you, I was just shooting in your direction." And I remember us jumping up and running out the back door. And one thing that's interesting about my story, there are some people, the way your trauma hits doesn't necessarily mean everybody's going to act the same way.
Correct.
I was an isolator. That means that I stayed to myself, preferably in the dark, quiet, hopefully away from all the drama and the trauma, right? And I call myself a master suppressor, because I can shut things down big time.
Yeah.
And while going to school, I wasn't a troublemaker, so I slipped through the cracks. I actually graduated the top of my class, 4.0, won a 4-year scholarship to our local university. Not athletic whatsoever, but I found myself joining the Army.
Okay.
And only a few years ago did I realize that was my way of running away from home.
A lot of people do that.
Right. So, and that has some more trauma attached to it. So sometimes it helps in some ways as far as things like discipline. But then again, the Army is an example, but so is just the community in general, and different corporations where people do not act with trauma-informed practices. So we should always assume that people have something going on and that we do not need to go ahead and just ignore.
Okay. Let me ask you this. So what you're seeing is, because a lot of people have trauma, and a lot of it's childhood. A lot of it is, different things that have occurred.
Right.
What are you seeing when it comes to how women deal with it, and how it shows up in their career and or business?
So it's interesting because women, and to me, especially Black women, we put a mask on it.
Yeah.
So
because we gotta continue through life.
Exactly.
I mean,
you have to be that strong Black woman, woohoo, with a cape on.
Listen. That strong Black woman. I'm telling you now. I mean, I feel like we might have to do a whole little intimate series talk on that strong Black woman, because honestly, if people really understand where it comes from during slavery.
Yes.
When, if anybody, wants to believe it or not, the women had to be, if the men were taken out of the household, which they were, because they were put out to breed more children.
Yes.
We had to start running the house.
Right.
So sometimes we are just on autopilot.
Ooh, okay. You said a word right there, because throughout my life, during that, dealing with the trauma, I always say I was on autopilot, because I was able to go into the military, honorably discharged, have a family where I was married to my husband, 3 kids, became a nurse off my GI Bill. I was sick.
Yeah.
And I really didn't know I was sick until 12 years ago, around Veterans Day.
Physical, mental, you were mentally sick.
I was mentally sick. But I was on autopilot, and I had no self-awareness.
Okay.
And so there were things like, say, for instance, with my relationship with my children. Is it horrible? No. But is it where I would like it to be? No. Because I put a mask on, and I just kept moving forward and doing what I thought other people looked at as normal or what I should be doing. But I really wasn't paying attention to like how I felt about it.
Yeah.
So
again, how are women? So the Black women, they're on autopilot. Is there how do I put this? Is there a reason why, if we're on autopilot, if we are moving through life to just continue with life, why would we want to touch anything that occurred in our past? Because, hey, let's leave the past in the past. Why are we bringing it up?
Because the past doesn't stay in the past. And, we're always talking about what's done in the dark soon comes to the light at some time. But we really don't think about how true that is. And remember, I said
so I want you to talk a little bit about what that means. So you mentioned your kids. So do you think you not properly dealing with your issues when you realized, oh my God, I actually do have some things that I need to work on, somehow contributed to even your relationship with your kids, how you dealt with things from a career level. And so when you start talking about dealing with trauma, there's a reason you want to do that and not just leave it in the past because it resurfaces in different ways. Right. Talk about that.
Okay. So as far as my children are concerned, and it's already known, there are already studies that someone who has a mental illness, and I actually have been diagnosed with major depressive disorder, that it actually affects that next generation in their trauma. And it may not seem like trauma to some people because people are used to something being in your face, obvious physical wounds, things like that. But they don't think about the fact that, like, say, for instance, a lot of couples are trauma bonding. And that's what I think my husband and I did. He had his own childhood trauma. Unfortunately, he dealt with it with substance. I dealt with mine by hiding. So how could we really be a good and complete couple and work out our issues that came up, whether it was our fault or not our fault, if we hadn't dealt with what we had to heal from the past?
So how are we getting through this? Are we going to counseling, or what does Black Butterfly do specifically? Are we pointing them in the direction of counseling? And how do we resolve this?
Yes, I am. So with Black Butterfly Queens Life Coaching, then we're dealing with not only that mental, we're dealing with the residual effects, because traumas have also health effects, including diabetes, hypertension, cancer, even, and of course, behavioral problems like not being able to keep a job, not using substances, alcoholism, that sort of thing. So one of the things that Black Butterfly Queens Life Coaching does is, and we're only visiting the past, just like with my nursing background, we look at your history, we look at what's going on now, and we look at what is our goal, what is our end goal. Also, it's already been studied that support is extremely important. That's one reason I love Southern Crescent Women in Business, because there's a lot of support, not just for your business, but you have some cheerleaders.
Right.
That helps with self-esteem. It helps so much. So helping people recognize, okay, like, say, for instance, one thing that works really well for me that I have and my clients do is to figure out what their triggers are. And for those of you that don't know that word, because I didn't at first, that's something that may change your mood dramatically, whether you get angry, it seems like it's all of a sudden, you shrink back or something like that. I found that once I figured out my top 3 triggers, and realized where the origin was of those triggers, I was better able to pick the coping skills that work for Demetria.
Got it.
And that's something I do as well. And, when somebody needs maybe medication or further therapy, that's where my partnerships come in.
Got it. So basically, you're working with them to, one, identify coping, and then referrals. So if whatever you guys have identified and tried to work through with coping methods, if it is not able to be resolved with just coping methods, that's exactly where your partnerships come into play, so that you can get them additional help. How successful has this program been, especially with Black women? Because there's a new thing where we're talking like, okay, I feel like there's just more attention to mental health than there's ever been. And, you know, what are you seeing in that space specifically?
I'm seeing more attention, but one of the problems is we don't have enough ancillary people in the field, and we don't have enough doctors. We don't have enough life coaches that focus on what I focus on.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of movement, but, you know, it seems like we're in that spring cleaning phase where you pull out all the dirty.
Yeah.
And it looks worse than when before you started. So we haven't gotten to the point yet where we have a great system in place that's measurable. And one thing that Georgia has done.
I'm sorry, you said we. Who's we?
Oh, I'm talking about the community collectively, because this thing affects all of us, whether you want to believe it or not. Because somebody unhealed could be someone that randomly, you know, hurts you in some way, or your loved one in some way. You know, when you're in the workplace, some of those people that are having the need for mental health days or, you know, leave of absence, they're calling in instead of, you know, having something that's easier to handle for the job, you know, for the people at the job. So we're all in it together, whether we want to believe it or not. It's not going away unless we all do something about it.
So let me say this. You know, I definitely applaud your work. There is, and I've said that to you on multiple occasions. I will say this, you know, this is the mental health. I'm not sure if it's going to get better. And I'm going to tell you why. Because social media. Because our kids are too attached to the phones. Because there's too much of an issue. And if there's not a national, international effort, you're only going to be dealing with these silos. You're only going to be dealing, and it's not to say like let's give up or, you know, but there's going to, you know, our social media companies are going to have to start playing a role. Our government is going to have to start playing, our federal government is going to have to start playing a larger role, because you can only touch a few people, you know, and I just feel as if, you know, I'm not sure how this, you know, and it's such a, you know, when we, and maybe this is why people don't want to talk about it, because it's like, whoo, you know, is it something that could actually be taken care of? But I do feel like we're in a little bit of a crisis mode in this country.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm just hoping that we do, and maybe your advocacy for what you do, maybe there needs to be a little bit more focus on talking to federal and talking to those who can actually make change at a national level, because I am not sure that, you know, it's going to be as impactful as it needs to be. And, you know, I shared something on my page yesterday, and for those who are pretty close to me, they got some videos, which I'm not going to go there and put out. But the bottom line is, you know, these kids are in a crisis. And these are the ones that are going to be running the world. They're going to be, you know, driving, if not already. They're going to be serving your food, you know, for their little summer jobs or whatever it is. And I just don't know if we are really understanding and paying enough attention. And so, I don't know. I mean, well, I don't know. You tell me. What's the solution here?
Yeah, you're right. Or let's put it this way. We do a lot of talking, but we got to put that action in, right?
Yes.
Just like, say, for instance, for Georgia did a wonderful thing about a little over a year ago where
that's the mental health bill, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I did not know that health insurance companies were treating medical health differently than they were treating mental health.
Oh, really?
Exactly. So they put less money, less time in. Say, for instance, they rush someone who probably needed to stay in the hospital a little longer out there in the world, whereas they had time for you to get over some medical thing, but everything is tied together. Like I said, mental health can affect your physical and vice versa, and everybody is going through mental challenges. When you grieve your family, a loss of your family, and it could be a good family member.
What do you say to somebody who says, I don't go through mental health challenges?
Get out of here. I say they are foolish. They are foolish. They are foolish. They are foolish, because grieving is a mental health thing. Some ladies who go through postpartum, that's a mental health thing. Some of the keys about mental health is this. Sometimes you go through it in a short period of time and you're fine, depending on timing, circumstances, and all that. And sometimes you're going through it where it lasts too long. Like, say, if you talk about postpartum, they talk about baby blues. Well, baby blues,
that's what they called it back in the day.
Yeah, but that's a short period of time. And as a former mother baby nurse, I know that if it lasts for 2 weeks or more, or the feelings are intense, like you want to hurt yourself or your child, that's a mental health issue. That needs to be addressed by a psychiatrist or therapist.
Yeah. Okay. So, Demetria, how do we find you on, how does anyone connect with you?
You can connect with me in different ways. I am on Instagram at BBQ Life Coach. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn, and you can find me on Facebook just at Demetria Winters. You can find me LinkedIn, Demetria Winters 623. You can find me BBQ Life Coach. Yes, I do TikToks. My kids say I'm on social media more than they are.
Oh Lord.
And you can find
I gotta get on TikTok, y'all. I gotta get on TikTok.
Yeah. Oh, people would love you. Cause I say Miss Shaw, she's not that big. She's a little woman, but boy, when I tell you she walk in the room and that aura is shack height, it's like, oh, where is Harpo? Who this woman? So you can also find me at my website, www.bbqlifecoach.com, or call me at 404-380-2443.
Awesome. And this has been another episode of Women, Wealth, and Entrepreneurship. And let me say this. So I have to ask you this. So because this is called Women, Wealth, and Entrepreneurship Podcast, do you have any thoughts on, does this affect, your ability to earn revenue, your ability to create wealth, if you don't deal with these issues? Talk just a little bit about that.
Yes, that's a very big issue, because like I said, for a person who's doing a 9-to-5, then it's known that they call in sick a lot.
So it affects their productivity. Yeah.
Exactly. It affects their productivity. Also, when you have your own business and entity, then
that can cause mental health.
when I tell you the shutdown is real and it will take over, it's like quicksand. You think you're on solid ground and you sinking, and you don't know how to get out. So, yes, it has an effect on the bottom line. If you don't care about anything else, it's got an effect on the bottom line from the, what they consider poverty level all the way up to riches. Because think about it. There are a lot of people who have riches, businesses, and things like that, and we hear tragic things about them, and we're like, oh, my goodness, I didn't know that they were going through that. So, yes.
So, we're gonna end on this note, but when I do my cohort, we talk about mindset. Now, mindset, it does play into, mental health, because I'm one of those, I'm like, you got to keep moving. And I say that because, if you're the sole breadwinner and you're in entrepreneurship. So first of all, entrepreneurships, if you don't kill it, you don't eat it. Meaning if you're not earning, you're not going to, and if you're not doing what you need to do, you're not making any money. Mm-hmm. So how does that work, especially if you have people that are dependent on you? So I'm all for making sure we resolve our issue. But we're going to have to figure out a way where it does not become a hindrance.
Right.
And it doesn't block, continually being able to move forward, which is why I love now automation. Mm-hmm. I love the ability to use AI, because guess what? If you don't have employees, which you should still be working towards getting that, then you need to make sure you at least have some automation in place so you can at least have things continually move forward when you are not at your best.
Right.
Yep.
And you told me that a few years ago.
All right. So thank you again, Demetria, for joining us on Women, Wealth, and Entrepreneurship. You guys can follow Demetria at all social media platforms. Thank you, Demetria, and happy birthday.
Thank you. 57, 22, pew, pew, pew.
All right. And thank you.
Again, this has been another episode of Women, Wealth, and Entrepreneurship with Ariel Shaw, MBA. Thank you for joining us. And if you have not, download our new theme song, Women in Business theme song by Miss Lacey. You've heard it here, and we are so excited that you've joined us. Thank you, and have an amazing day.